Well, for one thing, when you have to defend your faith, you have to take questions and you have to answer those questions coherently. You can't just give flimsy answers like you can when you're preaching to the choir, when you actually are being questioned about your faith by someone who is, genuinely curious and they disagree with you. It forces you to be a much better communicator. And that in itself is a useful skill, but it also kind of increases your faith because you have to probe your own faith and articulate your own faith. If you say, I believe in Jesus, and then someone goes, what does that mean? And you go, well, I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. And they go, what does it mean to be the Son of God? And you start going down that line of questioning and you start coming to deeper and deeper questions like, why do you believe there's a God at all? Or why do you believe that he would be anything like us? Or why the incarnation? Why the crucifixion? These questions are incredibly hard to answer when you start getting into the abstract. And so the sort of probing you have to do in order to answer them will start to push you into asking questions about the Bible, about you have to pray about these things for sure. It's forced me so often to prayer and to really pressing into the scripture to find good answers that are in accordance with our faith. And the more you do that, the more you sort of press in to find these answers. It sort of just gives you this forward motion in your faith. It gives you a strong motivation to look deeper into what you believe. And that is a way of getting closer to the Lord. I think it grows our relationship with God. I think it does wonders for your faith to really start pressing those buttons and really pushing through and trying to find real answers to real questions. So one of my favorite memories at Ratio was we had a speaker come in to talk about evolution and morality. And it was a very controversial topic at the time for our group. And we had about 35 people in a room that was just a little too small for 35 people. And the speaker started talking and he got like maybe 3-4 sentences in before there was like an outburst of disagreements on the other side of the room. And I was the debate moderator at the time, and I just had to go. I had to stand up. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody stop. We're going to start this over, and everybody raise your hand if you have a question, and I'll write it down. We'll put it in a queue. And it was just this moment where I was like, oh my God. And I tried to organize it, and everybody kind of felt satisfied by that, like, grumblingly sat down in their chairs. And I was like, oh man, and the speaker started talking again, and I was just like, oh boy, like this is going to be rough. The Q&A is going to be so nasty. And he was talking, and he kind of got to go through his case, and the Q&A was not nasty. The Q&A was lively, and there were a lot of disagreements, but the Q&A went really well, and the speaker handled himself very well, and all of the questioners handled themselves really well. And by the end, I just remember the entire tone going from a very, very defensive and hostile tone, switching into this much more receptive, and it turned into a much more receptive environment, and people really learned a lot. And we all found out a lot more about each other. And afterwards, we all went out to get food. And I remember just being very thankful that such a situation where you were talking about something that just about everybody in the room had an opinion on, and almost none of those opinions were the same. And it was tough. I remember having that situation with all these different opinions in the room. And at the end, we all ended up getting food together. And so that sort of thing is rare in this day and age, and I think that Ratio is an environment that allows for that, and I just really appreciated that. I always think back to that moment, and it's just a fond moment for me in Ratio history.